Let's move on to our next big story for the day. And the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, has ordered the Attorney General to retrieve a total of 1.9 million cedis from the private company, which handled the controversial rebranding of some 116 Metro Mass transit buses. It emerged 2 weeks ago that the government spent an outrageous 3,649,000,000 Ghana cedis from the Ghana oil funds to rebrand the 116 buses, something that has attracted hue and cry. The Chief of Staff consequently ordered the Attorney General to investigate the saga and submit its report within 2 days. The report was presented to the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, on Tuesday. Now, in her report, the Attorney General, Marietta Brew, appeal upon, found that there were no cost comparisons to what was submitted by the private entity Smarties Management because of the method of procurement and procedures used. Now, a statement issued by the Chief of Staff said the procurement method did not also ensure value for money, and consequently directed the AG to retrieve the 1.9 million cedis, being what the statement described as excess payments made for the service rendered. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak to Vitus Azim. He is the Executive Director of Ghana Integrity Initiatives. Joins us on the phone lines. Vitus, are you satisfied with this very latest action taken by the Chief of Staff?
I don't think that it's a matter of me being satisfied, but I think that there's a lot more that needs to be done.
A lot more like what?
Such as, if the minister resigns, it does not necessarily mean that she is the one that was directly involved in the whole transaction. There might be other people who were directly involved, and if they broke the law, from the Attorney General's report and the statement by the Chief of Staff, they did not go by the procurement rules of competitive bidding and all that. And so there should be more than just voluntary resignation. Even though we don't even know whether the minister voluntarily resigned or she was compelled to resign.
Well, at least she
also ordered to be retrieved. We don't know what method they used to arrive at that amount. So there could have even been more. But you know, when this thing came out, they were also concerned about even the need to spend money to carry out the rebranding, when we could have given out the space on those buses to commercial people to advertise their products, and the state would earn money. So there's still a bit that I think we need to address.
Well, some have suggested that we should be applauding the Transport Minister for at least taking the initiative to resign. Do you share in that conviction?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Some have suggested that we should be applauding the Transport Minister for at least taking the initiative to resign, something which is not often common in our part of the world. Do you share in that view?
I share in that view on the condition that she resigned on her own volition, that she was not compelled to resign. That is something that hardly happens in our part of the world, as you have said. And it should serve as a lesson to other public officials that when it gets to a certain stage, they have to accept responsibility and step aside. But that is if she did resign on her own volition and was not compelled.
Well, from what we understand, her resignation letter was received by the Chief of Staff even before the Attorney General's report was brought in.
Yes, that does not still rule out the fact that there could have been pressure on her to resign. I'm not saying that there was, but it is a possibility. So I'm just saying if she resigned on her own volition, she should be commended for that. But that should not be the end of the case.
Some have called for possible prosecution of people who may have been implicated in this whole bus rebranding saga. You think so?
I wouldn't go to the extent of just asking for prosecution. We should normally be looking for sanctions. Prosecution is a last resort. But sanctions, administrative sanctions, like demotion, transfers, firing of people, recovery of money, all these are sanctions. It is when these are not appropriate, when there's actually established that there was a crime committed, that may go to prosecution.
Well, at least the Attorney General has indicated that Smarty's company should refund an amount of 1.9 million cedis. Is that going to be possible is that going to be possible?
Oh yeah, I think that it should be possible. One, the company will want to continue to do business with government. So it will be their interest to quickly pay back that money, especially if they admit that the cost was unreasonably inflated. But the second thing is that if they refuse to submit the money, you can go to court. You go to court and either recover the money or seize assets and pay the money. We have those laws that we can use.
Let me ask this very controversial question, which obviously, I mean, monitoring social media and listening to what people have been saying and reading various posts, some have sort of suggest that for such a major decision like having the president's picture on buses scattered across the country, it was virtually going to be impossible for the presidency to be aware of this action, and that this very latest decision by the chief of staff coming in to intervene is just kind of trying to whitewash the whole process.
I cannot rule out that, because I think that this is not a small thing that you could just done secretly and nobody will know. So I also suspect that it is possible that it was a high-level decision, but because it has happened and has embarrassed the government, somebody is probably being used as a scapegoat so that the matter will die. And so that's why it's important for us to look further into this. I think that the minister or one person could have not just taken that decision to do this, considering that these buses are going to be driven around the country, that people are going to see them. But also considering that this is not the first time that this has happened. This happened under the NPP regime. And when we made noise, they said, oh, they had paid for the space. It was not free. So it's not a new thing. People know about it. And considering that we have elections in 2016, I think that it could have also been a decision taken at a high level, and that's why the chief of staff has come in. And also considering that the American case came up before this, and yet they didn't find it necessary to set up to investigate. But this one, they have been very fast. Investigated within 4 days. The minister has resigned. The minister's resignation has been accepted. I mean, it gives cause for us to raise his eyebrows.
I said my final question, but I beg of you, this will be my very final question. Does this whole episode reinforce the power of the people when you look at the sort of outrage that greeted this whole announcement about public buses being branded with such a huge amount of public funds being used? Does this tell us the power the people have in holding their leaders accountable?
It is just a pointer, but it does not show that we have that power, because some of these things, they just come out, we discuss them in 1 week, and it ends there. We need to know, follow up, what will happen after today. If that happens because of pressure from us, we could say that it's just a pointer. But we know several of these cases have happened in the past. The public has talked, there has been public outrage, and nothing has happened. You can list them up to 10 cases in the last 2-3 years. If there has been public outcry, we haven't seen any serious action. The minister comes out to explain, and then after 1 week, we all forget. But it's also telling us that we as Ghanaians, the media and civil society, we need to take these things more seriously if we expect some action to be taken.
I appreciate your time. Vitus Azim is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, helping us to do some analysis on this latest directive from the Chief of Staff on the rebranding of some Metro Mass Transit buses. You're watching MiddayLive here on TV3.